Hello fans! In this episode we're looking at the Grizzly River Run. Humphrey the bear watches over the river ride as guests walk past the entrance. The ride opened in 2001 and has stayed pretty much unchanged except for some retheming to turn it from a thrill ride down a rapids to more of a national park venue. The queue runs down the side of the building and it gives you a preview about what the ride is all about. So if you want to know how wet people are, this is your chance to kind of view that. The ride basically uses water to drive the rafts. But if you look at it, there are these two areas where you have a mechanical way of pushing. One is this at the end and one is on the conveyor belt going up. Some people have mentioned that the one at the end looks kind of creepy. I don't quite get it, but that's what some people feel about it. If you're going to put on your rain jacket, your poncho, and get your backpack ready for getting a soaking, then this is a place to do it. One note, if you want to put your backpack and anything that could get wet in a locker, they are available up at the beginning of the ride, and the lockers are free for 2 hours. Thereafter, the fee goes up. You can see that if you put your poncho on now, you're likely to not be able to put it on completely because the transition to the raft goes fairly quickly. When you get in there, you'll see that, first of all, the seats are all wet, so the chances of you avoiding getting wet are very slim, which makes you wonder whether you really want to wear shoes and socks on this ride.
Why, hello, rafters. For a safe ride, be sure to stay seated with your seatbelt fastened, keeping your hands, arms, feet, and legs inside the raft.
They say that every time you take this ride, it's a different ride, and we'll see that that's very much true because we will take this ride again. First, we took this one here in the morning, and then later on in this program, we'll see a ride in the late afternoon.
Oh yeah.
What you're looking at is the entrance to the conveyor belt, and that goes up. Not sure who this sign is directed to, but basically it says that you should disengage the Pelton wheel belt before you reverse the gears. So it kind of looks like something like a decoration, but I get a feeling this is a sign for some of the staff to read before doing anything. As you go up the conveyor belt, you get showered by all these pipes that are leaking water, and it's kind of cool. The anticipation is really, really high because you think that you're going to have a big drop, but in the end it's a little bit of a letdown. It's not such a big drop. You go back on that slow river again as you go around. As you go around the corner, you actually see the backside of the Grizzly Peak, which has its own name, Oso Mate. As you go through the cave, listen for Oso Mate's roar. As you can see, the river takes a different speed and roughness, and this is where you start to get wet. The story is that this used to be a mining river and a mining shaft until about the 1950s, and then all of the gold in this river dried up, and now it's an abandoned mining shaft. So once you enter this cave, you get to see the opening of a mining shaft that was now abandoned and boarded up. While the mine might be closed up and boarded up, there's a kind of a ghostly glow as you look into one of the openings of the mine. Apparently some work is still being done in the mine. At least that's what it's supposed to be. The ride rapidly becomes one of who becomes the wettest, and you can see it's quite good and quite an exciting ride. Because the ride rotates so much, you're not quite sure who's going to be the most wet. At this point, you get a preview about the final drop, which is the longest and the tallest drop. But not to worry, it's not the longest in Disneyland or California Adventure. It is actually 21 feet, which is not that high. It's high enough to give you a thrill, but unlike the Splash Mountain, it's not quite as tall. Here we see the hut where the operator allows people to go down the drop safely, but he supposedly is an outfitter who's in a cabin that you see on many rivers. It's really a thrilling drop, and what makes this is what makes the ride so fun. And as you circle around, you get to see the geyser feature, which is really cool. It's known as the geyser gauntlet because of the number of geysers that are supposedly spraying. The spinning continues, as you can see. As you approach the exit bridge, the finish is within sight. Apparently this sign was placed because sometimes the gondolas or the rafts get backed up to that point. They don't want you to start taking off your seatbelt and trying to get out. Then we have the example of the ride at night. So this gives you a different perspective and the idea that every two rides are different on the Grizzly Rapid rides. This abandoned equipment totally missed in the first time we took the ride. So interesting how you get to see different things. Now as we go up the conveyor belt at the Eureka mine headquarters, we see that there's a whole different things in the shaft rather than just that sign that we looked at earlier. You can see all the gears in the window, some of the master's desk, his hat, and his window. All of these things you kind of bypass because it's kind of bright outside. And then there we can see the conveyor belt and the wheel working. And you can see it has a different feel to it when it's at night. You can see a little bit more detail, the blueness, but then the speed and the water rushing over the side of the raft. You can see that it's really, you never know. That poor Joshua they said that he always gets wet, the wettest. Now we've come to one of the campsites along the way that we didn't see in the first run. And you can see that there's a cap light, a canoe, and kind of a whiteboard or some sort of signage, and a tent in the background. Kind of gives it a national park feel. As we spin around, we can see the canoe from a different angle. In this ride, the spinning occurred a lot more than in the previous ride. And we enter the Eureka mine. Again, has a different feel because it's darker. You can see that the ride is just so much fun, and it's just such just rip-roaring fun that everybody in the gondola or the raft is having a great time. As we approach the steepest falls, the anticipation is just tremendous. That's what makes this ride so much fun. So you thought you're safe from going down and being the first person down the falls, but you never know because the raft is still spinning as it's going down the falls. And then we go past the gauntlet of geysers. This ride has to be one of the best rides in Disneyland, and you can't go wrong. And usually it's the best time to do it would be probably during the day, but then that's when the lines are longest because the weather is warm and everybody wants to get in on the action. That ends the ride, and in the next episode we're going to look at the data that I obtained to see exactly how different the two rides are, using actual GPS data to look at the speed and a map to show how it changed from one ride to the other. Thanks for watching. Aloha.